Okay, folks, welcome back. Well, we're going to start off today with cleaning this area up. The freaking disaster. Disaster for me, anyways. And then we'll see where things take us. We will see where things go. So, even if I have to pull these things right back down, let's get rid of them. Already yawning. Welcome to my world. Why are you putting white away? It's the first color that comes out. Well, that's just how it is sometimes. This was getting empty. All the usual suspects, go back to your places. All right, and then we're going to take these brushes that we've been using. That's not a brush. Now let's see if I can put them over here. Some semblance of order. These are the stands for the 3D painted vehicles. Cute little Jeep stand. I know, even though these Jeeps don't really need stands, because they're pretty solid. As a catch-all. Don't need this front and center. Coat the arms, where are they? Right there. Plastic putty, this stuff's pretty cool. Now that I finally learned how to use it, gotta jump in and paint your way out. That's how I use things. That's how I figure out how to use things. I'm not gonna throw away that just yet. I'm not gonna throw this away just yet. Needs more abuse. What is this? Pieces of lead. Bye-bye. Let's get a little box here. Let's get a little box. Couple 45 mils back here. We got a little box sitting around here somewhere. it's not being used for something. Well, this one's empty for now. I don't feel like painting figures tonight. So, we're not going to do figures tonight. Just like the other day, I felt like doing figures. So I did them. We're going to do something different tonight. See if I can wake myself up. Snap out of it a little bit. Let's see, let's get these German half tracks out of here. I'll get around to painting them one day. And this Sherman. We'll leave the two T-34s out here for now. Here's more figures that are base black. More figures that are base black. And for those of you that are my regulars, there will not be any filming this weekend coming up. I'm going to be out of town. You're just going to have to find some other purpose with your life. Other than watching my silly ass painting on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Let's move this. The Grilla. The Grilla from Manila. Like that. Just get out of here. See, I can't work with this kind of chaos. This is just it's just too distracting for me. I can't do it. I can. It's just it's just a pain in the butt. It's unpleasant. All right, we can keep this. What was it that I finished recently that took me a long time to work on? I feel like I finished something relatively recent. I've had it on my table for the longest freaking time and finally got around to finishing it. That goes there. This can be repurposed. Russian green goes up here. Make sure nothing gets sucked in. This can go here. That's nothing. I gotta do this from time to time. So my my table protector is a cutting board that I don't ever plan on cutting on. It's too expensive. It's like $40 fucking or something like that. I wish it had. It's got another color on the back. It's got gray on the back. Five viewers, got people excited, rubbing things on my desk here. So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to work on something that I ended up picking up yesterday. Not intentionally. It was a model swap. And somebody actually had something I didn't mind getting in a scale that at 1/72nd, which it wasn't really anything at 1/72nd, but it was like the only thing. So it's not like I got a whole lot of choice. Because it's something I already have two of that are complete by other manufacturers that suck. Other manufacturers I have suck. This is a better manufacturer, but it's still antiquated. All right. I don't feel like painting tonight. Sorry. If you want to see me paint, that's not what we're doing tonight. Now, is there anything back here of note? Probably not. All right, I'm gonna wear my vacuum. Let's see if it's charged all the way up. Yep, it's got enough juice in it. Okay, that infernal sound is over with. I know you're all so disappointed. So what did I pick up yesterday? Well, I picked up something that most of you probably built. I would think. This thing's as old as I am. King Tiger by Esci, or ESCI. So that's what we're going to put together. I almost went on last night, but I didn't want to start at 9. Just a little too late. So we did 10 minutes better than that. No, I would have had to clean this area. So we're going to put this out. I do plan on cutting on this. I hope my soul can stand it. Let's get a new X-Acto knife blade. Put this over here. And because I feel like sniffing something. I love the smell of Tamiya extra thin cement in the evening. Actually, I don't know if spilling it on this is a good idea. I probably don't want to spill it on this. Come to think of it. Do you have a protective thing? I do. Let's put this down. This is peace of mind. This is a really thick piece of MDF. Put that on here. Let's give myself a little bit of a height advantage. Alright, so if something goes sideways, we're still okay. Alright, so and we might actually, it might take me a little while to paint this. I think I'm going to do something different with this painting it. I think we might actually do a Hungary one. Something with a little bit of snow camo. I don't know, but we're going to practice on T-34s. Not these, but other ones I have. I've got the AK whitewash stuff. All right. One Ziploc-in. All right, we're going to need our usual suspects. Tamiya cutters. Sandpaperage of those two thicknesses. What else? Glasses off. Instruction. Yeah, this is made in Italy. Yeah, this is going to have one of those hulls that's a mother. Yeah. The 3-piece hulls. Which, they're not that bad now, but as a kid, man, these were a challenge. Where you've got a bottom section like this, and then you got the halves that go on either side. Instead of them giving you like a boat, you basically have this kind of thing. Going to start working on some of your 700 scale buildings. All right, let's build some models. So these were a nightmare. I remember I had a model that I got probably when I was around 13 or 14 years old in 1/72nd scale. It was a Panther. And I want to say it was an ESCI/Aurora kit that came in a bag. I want to say it came in a bag on a hanger. And it was in sand yellow color, Dunkelgelb, whatever. And, I'm 13 years old. And I get this hull that the bottom of it is like this. I think it bent up one more time. It's got a bend in it. And you got to put these two halves. You got to hold them together. And the two halves came to me. These sides came bent like this. So in other words, they don't lay flat up against it. I don't have the skills to deal with that kind of stuff. I'm 13 freaking years old. I could deal with that stuff now, but, that's child's play now. I got the patience and I got all kinds of tools that I didn't have before. So let's start building this Joker. And of course, they have you do the most unpleasant shit first, which is road wheels galore. But this thing is infinitely better than the piece of trash that are the Pegasus kits. Although they look okay painted up, but they're just... You give those to somebody you hate. I hate you. Here's a kit. Oh man, you're so nice. Just wait till you start putting it together, asshole. You're gonna wish you were never born. All right, so let's cut the hull off here. They actually give you little pegs. There's tiny little pegs there to supposedly meet up with the other piece, but we'll see how we get on with this. And here's the other sides. I suspect this plastic is uber brittle. The decals are probably going to shatter. But I want to do a King Tiger that has blue decals. This does not have Zimmer in it. So we got to do a King Tiger that came out after September 1944. Because around that time, the Germans were like, first of all, they did the Zimmer because the Soviets, they were worried about the Soviets using magnetic mines and putting them on there. And the only way the Soviets would have gotten magnetic mines is if they would have stolen them from the Germans and put them on themselves. Because the Soviets really didn't use that kind of stuff. But anyway, so they covered the whole tanks in Zimmerit. And then something happened, like an old wives' tale, an old Nazi wives' tale happened, where they said, this magnetic paste that we're putting on all our vehicles, there's a rumor that it's flammable. I don't know why they would think some kind of that type of paste is flammable, but they stopped putting it on their vehicles. You put a halt on it. And I actually don't like how it looks. I certainly don't plan on putting it on myself. If the vehicle comes with it, so be it. But I'm not going to put putty, and that's a detail too far. So, I'm a big World War II nut, and there's so much stuff that's available now that wasn't available 20 years ago when I was originally into it. And I keep finding out new stuff all the time, almost to the point that if I had some kind of a podcast, which I don't plan on doing, because, I mean, this could be a podcast, I guess, a visual podcast. But if I had a podcast, I would have a section of the podcast devoted to shit I didn't know about the Second World War. And in that part of the podcast that I don't have, that I would call shit I didn't know about the Second World War, I could feed you guys info of things that you may know, but I didn't know. And stuff that's, I would say anal retentive, but things that I find out, unusual things that I find out, I really should take notes. But the problem is I'm listening to these books on Audible, and I'm driving, so it's probably not a good idea to take notes. And my drive to and from work is not very long. But I started a new Audible book, and it's called, I don't know what it's called, but it's about MacArthur's return to the Philippines. An area that I really don't know a lot of stuff about. And, I'm not completely ignorant, but I don't know the details because I've never wargamed it. And these things have the bottom. Let's see what happens if I take this off. Maybe we'll remove some of it so it doesn't get in the way of anything else. And I've come across stuff about the Pacific that I had no idea about. One of the things is that, I mentioned this the other night, is there was no Marines that were really involved in the Philippines. The Philippines was just was an army operation for the most part. There was no Marines in the Philippines. I mean, they might have had like I think it's the book said they had like an artillery unit or something like that. So, no, not really any ground forces. And one thing I learned about is that armies in the troops in the Pacific did not have their rank on their uniform. I guess they were worried about the Japanese treating them differently or whatever. Like targeting or whatever. How am I liking the Philippines theater? I'm just getting into it right now. It's fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. I'm not really interested in the Philippines in 1941, 42. I want to get some late war U.S. infantry, and I want to see if it's hard to find out exactly what they wore, and what kind of stuff did the U.S. Army, because the Philippines is basically U.S. Army, and their units you never heard of before. The units, you can listen to the divisions that are on there, and their divisions I've never heard anything about before, including one of the airborne divisions is a division I've never heard of before. You always hear about the 82nd and the 101st. It was like the 17th Airborne Division. Now, I don't know how the hell they came up with their numbering system. I suspect that it's probably a unit that used to be just a standard infantry unit and decided to be made airborne or something, and they just kept their number. But their units, I'd never seen their symbols before. I'd never heard anything about them before. And one of the things that I came across, I actually have a unit, a squad or squad and a half, I don't know how they picked them up, from Battlefield, for Rangers. And I'm like, I'm never going to do Point du Hoc. I mean, that's a pain in the butt, right? It's really limited. It's one spot. It's famous, but I don't want to do that. Well, there's Rangers that landed on a couple of islands and cleared them before the Philippines, at Leyte. So, maybe I can paint them for the Pacific. Oh, they didn't use exactly the same uniform. Well, it's good enough for me. I'll paint them like they are in Europe, and then I'll play with them in the Pacific. you know. But I do have Ranger figures. They even have the Ranger triangle, the diamond emblem. Triangle? Diamond emblem. That they have here on the shoulder patch. It's built into the figure. Didn't know that. Yeah, I'm just, I'm digging it up. It's just something that I really haven't. Since I'm not going to war game the entire theater, it doesn't need to be balanced. It doesn't need to be like, well, the Americans have 5 times more people than the Japanese and have total air superiority. I don't care about that because I'm just looking at a tiny little vignette of combat. So, there was, you know, it's what happens in the morning. I'll think about something and start reading while I'm having breakfast, and you know, I go down the rabbit hole of Wikipedia, and you know, like I was reading the book, I started looking a little bit about, you know, stuff on my own. Okay, where the islands are related to each other, and then I'll go on Google Earth and kind of see what the terrain is kind of like. It's like, man, it's a lot of palm trees. There's a lot of palm trees everywhere you go. And I started looking at another thing, and there's Filipinos that basically refused to surrender in 1942, and then basically went. We're doing guerrilla warfare all the time, and just some really interesting stuff. And I start looking at these islands, and then I get on the subject of these Japanese guys, and you've heard about this before. The one Japanese guy didn't find out that World War II was over until like 1974, and I was reading his story, and guy wants to make a comment on a video that I did fucking 4 years ago. Well, it's too late. I promise not to make another one of those again. No, I got, what I got is I woke up and I'm like, I got some Japanese to paint. I really want to paint the Japanese figures that I have. They're really cool. I'm considering getting some more Japanese. I'm like, what kind of last names, you know, do Japanese have? So, you know, the 100 most common Japanese, I came across this, like, apparently the 100 most common Japanese surnames are 33% of the people. 33% of the Japanese have one of these, at least 33% of the Japanese people have a surname that's one of these top 100s. Did I say that correctly? So anyways, so I looked through them and I recognized some of them because they're, you know, high-ranking admirals, like, you know, Kurita might be one of them, and that kind of stuff, you know. But they're common names that you have. And that led to something else and led somewhere else. And the next thing I know, I get on this thing about these last two guys that surrendered. And it's actually two. There's two guys that surrendered in like 1974. And the stories of them are like unbelievable. I mean, almost like they could make a movie out of it, but they just ruin the movie because, you know, they always do. Japanese last to surrender. There's two guys that both so one of these guys' name is Hiru Onoda. And I believe this is the guy that was held off in the Philippines. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, I gotta read this to you guys today because it's some amazing stuff. So he's born in 1922. He died in 2014, which was, you know, yesterday basically. He was a second lieutenant in the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II, one of the last Japanese holdouts. He continued fighting for decades after the war's end in 1945. For almost 29 years, Onoda carried out guerrilla warfare on Lubang Island in the Philippines. That's how I got into I was reading about the Philippines, this guy came up. So for 29 years, he carried on guerrilla warfare in the Philippines on this island called Lubang Island. on several occasions engaging in shootouts with locals and the police. Onoda initially held out with 3 other soldiers. So he was a group of 3 guys that held out. One of them surrendered in 1950, so 5 years after the war is over. And 2 who were killed, one in 1954 and one in 1972. So there was 4 of them. One surrendered in 1950, 2 of them were killed. One of them was killed in 54, one in 72. They did not believe flyers saying that the war was over. Onoda was contacted in 1974 by a Japanese explorer, but still refused to surrender until he was relieved of duty by his former commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi. So they had to find his commanding officer. Luckily, he was alive. Imagine if they would have killed him. He was like, I'm not giving up. The officer was flown in from Japan to Lubang for this. Onoda surrendered on 10th of March 1974 and received a hero's welcome when he returned to Japan. That year, he wrote and published his autobiography. He later followed his brother to Brazil, where he joined an established Japanese immigrant community in Mato Grosso do Sul. He set up a cattle ranch. After 1984, he spent 3 months a year in Brazil, the rest of his time in Japan. So anyways, he was born in March 1922 in Japan. In 1939, he went to work at a branch of the Tajima Yoko Trading Company in Wuhan, China. And in 1942, he was conscripted in the Imperial Japanese Army. He trained as an intelligence officer at the Futamata branch of the Army's Nakano School, where he was instructed in guerrilla warfare. On December 26, 1944, Onoda was sent to lead guerrilla warfare operations on Lubang Island in the Japanese-occupied Philippines. His mission was to destroy the island's airstrip and the pier at its harbor, as well as to destroy any enemy planes or boats that attempted to land. Onoda's orders further stated that under no circumstances was he to surrender to the enemy or take his own life. The double whammy. When he arrived on Lubang, Onoda joined forces with a group of Japanese soldiers who had been sent there previously. The officers in the group outranked Onoda, because he was only a second lieutenant, and prevented him from carrying out his assignment, which made it easier for the United States and the Philippine Commonwealth forces to take the island when they landed on the 28th of February 1945. I wonder what they did to prevent him from carrying out his assignment. After a short time, all but Second Lieutenant Onoda and 3 other soldiers, Private Yuichi Akatsu, Corporal Soichi Shimada, and Private First Class Kinshichi Kozuka, had died or surrendered. Onoda led the men into the island's mountains. While in hiding, Onoda and his companions continued their mission, carrying out guerrilla activities, surviving on bananas, coconuts, and stolen rice and cows, and on several occasions engaging in shootouts with locals and the police. They successfully evaded American and Filipino search parties and attacked villagers whom they believed to be enemy guerrillas, allegedly killing up to 30 civilians on the island during their time in hiding. The first time Onoda's group saw a leaflet announcing that Japan had surrendered was in October 1945. Another cell of Japanese guerrillas had found a note left behind by islanders that read, "The war ended on 15th of August. Come down from the mountains." The men concluded that the leaflet was Allied propaganda and believed that they would not have been fired on if the war was indeed over. Towards the end of 1945, leaflets were with a surrender order from General Tomoyuki Yamashita of the Japanese 14th Area Army were dropped by air on the island. Onoda's group studied it closely to determine whether it was genuine and decided it was not. Suit yourself. Akatsu separated from the group in September 1949 and after 6 months on his own surrendered to Philippine forces in March 1950. The others considered this a desertion and a betrayal and became even more cautious. In February 1952, letters from the three soldiers' families urging their surrender, along with family photographs, were dropped by air. But the group concluded it was a trick. Shimada was wounded in the leg in a shootout with local fishermen in June 1953, after which Onoda nursed him back to health. On the 7th of May 1954, Shimada was killed in a shootout with a Philippine Army mountain unit who accidentally encountered the soldiers while training. On 19th of October 1972, Kozuka was killed in a shootout with local police while conducting a raid in which he and Onoda burned piles of rice harvested by the villagers, which they intended as a signal to Japanese forces that the group was still alive and carrying out its duties. Onoda was alone from this point. On the 20th of February 1974, Onoda encountered Shorio Suzuki, a Japanese adventurer who was traveling around the world, and told friends he was looking for Lieutenant Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman, in that order. Suzuki found Onoda, and after 4 days of searching on Lubang, Suzuki found Onoda after 4 days of searching on Lubang. Onoda later described their meeting in an interview. This hippie boy, Suzuki, came to the island to listen to the feelings of a Japanese soldier. Onoda and Suzuki became friends, but Onoda still refused to surrender, telling Suzuki that he was waiting for orders from his commanding officer. He named Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, commander of the Special Intelligence Squadron of the 14th Area Army, who had given Onoda his final instructions, as such, although Onoda's real immediate superior was Lieutenant General Shizoyu Yokoyama, commander of the 8th Division, who had issued his orders. Suzuki returned to Japan with photographs of him and Onoda as proof of their encounter. The Japanese government located Taniguchi, who had become a bookseller after the war. Taniguchi flew to Lubang with Suzuki, and on the 9th of March met with Onoda in the jungle and issued him the following orders. I'm not going to read that. That part's not very exciting. Onoda was thus relieved of duty, and on March 10th, 1974, surrendered to Philippine forces at the radar base on Lubang. And here he is, in a picture, surrendering his sword to none other than Ferdinand Marcos. You guys have heard who that is. Ferdinand Marcos. He was the president of the Philippines. President, dictator, I don't know the details. He was ousted because he was being a dictator. On March 11th, the formal surrender ceremony was held by President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos, at Malacañang Palace in Manila. Here's an interesting, this part's really interesting. Marcos granted Onoda a full pardon for crimes he had committed while in hiding. Onoda turned over his sword, a functioning Arisaka Type 99 rifle, 500 rounds of ammunition, and several hand grenades, as well as a dagger his mother had given him in 1944 to kill himself with if captured. Onoda had held out for 28 years, 6 months, and 8 days after Japan's surrender. Only Private Teruo Nakamura, arrested on 18th of December 1974 in Indonesia, held out longer. That's some crazy stuff. That's some crazy, crazy stuff. Wargaming story sounds fun. All the Japanese voices you can do about not falling for American propaganda. Exactly. Onoda, who had been declared dead by the Japanese government in 1959, received a hero's welcome upon his return to Japan in 1974. The Japanese government offered him a large sum of money in back pay, which he refused. That tells you he's crazy. When money was pressed on him by well-wishers, he donated it to Yasukuni Shrine. Onoda was reportedly unhappy at receiving such attention and at what he believed to be the withering of traditional Japanese values. He wrote No Surrender, My 30-Year War, a best-selling autobiography. In April 1975, he followed the example of his elder brother Tadao and left Japan for Brazil, where he became a cattle farmer. After the war, Filipino media reported interviews with villagers who had lived on Lubang Island during Onoda's time in hiding and alleged that he and his men had killed up to 30 civilians there. He did not mention these deaths in his autobiography. Wow. Crazy, crazy stuff, man. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay, enough of the history lesson. Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, you could make up your own thing, All right, so let's see how the fit and finish is on this Nazi tank. Well, it's not bent up too bad. Normally, most people would probably superglue this, but the problem with that is if you superglue it and it's not exactly straight, you're going to have a hard time bending it into place if you need to move it later, and then it'll actually pop off this. So I prefer to use weld cement. Weld cement and a little bit of patience. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not comfortable. I am not comfortable gluing on this. I guarantee you that glue is going to take this color off. And then I'm going to be looking at something that looks like shit. And I just can't. I will have none of that. So, I'm really enjoying learning about stuff that I had no idea about. I mean, I knew there was a guy that survived that long. I just didn't know all the details. How does he still have 500 rounds? Well, if you want to save ammo, use a bolt-action rifle. And Arisaka is like a weird caliber. It's like a 6.5 millimeter or something like that. Maybe it's like the Carcano. The Carcano is also a strange caliber. But yes, I'm enjoying it a lot because there's just a lot of stuff that I know the overall kind of what order things happen in. I don't have any of the details, you know. And I don't know a whole lot about MacArthur, for instance. And he's a really interesting character. I was basically reading into the Philippine. He was trying to stay in contact with the Filipinos, and they held them in really high regard. And they made him basically a commandant or field marshal or whatever the Philippine army. And they make figures for Filipinos. That'd be kind of cool, you know. They were the old tin hat style, like the British style helmet that the U.S. did at the beginning of the war. Like if you watch anything of what's the island that they attacked at the same time Pearl Harbor? Is it Wake? I think it's Wake. The Marines on Wake would have had the British style helmets. Well, the 3D printing people that I got all those tanks, I got no tanks from them. I got a tank destroyer, two jeeps, and a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. They have dropped a lot of stuff in the last couple days, honestly. So, good. I'm glad things are going well for them. Seem to. All right. I still have. Do I have that handy? Or is it in the garage? I hope it's not in the garage. Let me look, because this is the time that I need something that I bought specifically for this. I think I know where it is. Yep, here it is. Let's grab a couple of these. I don't know who actually uses these for what they're meant for, which is to clean pipes. Can adjust the strength on them and not be super tight, but still add some pressure to it, just for a little bit while it dries. Let's dial it back. Shit, by the time I get this lined up where it is, it'll be welded together. Well, that works too. Okay, that's pretty close. I'm gonna set this off to the side. All right, what I got? The hell that is interwoven wheels. We got that piece. We got the back plate to put on there too. Let's go ahead and put that in place. See someone using Mexican soldiers for Filipino World War II soldiers. Mexican soldiers? From what period Mexican soldiers? It'd have to be like World War I because the rifles would be all wrong. They do. They make them in 3D printed. They make them 3D printed. It looks pretty good. That'd be unusual. They make them for, what's that game that everybody plays? Bolt action. Okay. I don't know if that makes any difference, but I'm there. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what period Mexican soldiers you'd be using. Now this fits in the... Well, that probably wasn't the right thing to do. It was unnecessary. Honestly, didn't realize this piece went along with it. I didn't read ahead. Yeah, Mexican soldiers. I mean, other than Santa Ana, I don't know if they make any Mexican soldiers. I don't think anybody. Oh, unless you're talking about like Pancho Villa guys. Mexican Revolution. Orale! Yeah, they got rifles. If you got some guys with straw hats, that'd probably work. Shit, now I'm gonna be looking on Plastic Soldier Company. Not Plastic Soldier. Plastic Soldier Review. Plastic Soldier Review. We'll just hold this for a little bit. Alright, what's next? The Litany of Road Wheels. Okay? No big deal. This is like pleasant compared to the Pegasus kit. Hey, the glue works on this. Oh, okay. They have all these road wheels labeled different numbers, but they're all the same. The inside and the outsides are the same. There we go. Perfect. All right. Could be worse. Some of the really early kits, they have a separate piece of paper that tells you what pieces are on the sprue. At least they're labeled here on the sprue. All right, we got 71C goes into 69A, okay? 71, which is the same as 72. No. I didn't see 69 here. Oh, it's right here. I have my finger over it. Okay. 71. It's not taking any of these teeth off just yet. I may end up having to because of the bloody rubber band track. Those two together go together. And this is the other one, even though they're identical. This is an old model, but I really like using old models and making them shine. Okay, in 10 and 11. And the other one. 10 and 11. Here's the two ends. And they're both the same. Again, this is not a pain to do because I don't have to have it done by a certain time. We will not be doing stuff like that. That brings me no joy. this side. Okay. The same thing here. Now this particular track it comes with has no interior detail on the track. Doesn't bother me. The Pegasus kit didn't either. Okay, so one's going to fit inside the other one. And there's a little seating point for that, okay? And then the cap goes on the end. When it's on that piece. Okay, well I'm going to go ahead and glue these two together. So we'll have them together. And we'll move the two caps over here, and we'll do the same thing with the other one. Figures of Mexican federales, but I don't know, when they're formed and the Lions webpage doesn't work. They look good though. Damn it. It'd be cool to have a small unit of Filipino and Japanese gorillas. It would be. Don't get me interested in this. I don't have time. Shh. I won't say a thing. Oh, you're the one that's married. You're married. Your girlfriend's Filipino, right? Oh, yeah, that would come in handy. We'll get a soda. We'll be right back. I was looking for some. I was looking through some Japanese troops at this one manufacturer that I think I'm going to make an order from at some point. And they make these Japanese tank hunters. And of course, they don't have Panzerfaust. They basically are. They run up to the tank and blow themselves up. Or they don't really blow themselves up, but they have like a bomb on the end of a stick. And when they put the bomb on the tank, it blows up and it takes them with them. It's not like it's, one of those guys. I would have to name him. One of the common names is Ono. O-N-O. Oh no. Oh no. Boom. You fuck up now. But I could do if somebody said, "Hey, come up with some scenarios for combat on French partisans or the Eastern Front or something like that." I'd be able to do it, or even North Africa. I'd be able to come up with my own stuff. I've got enough understanding of those theaters to really kind of have an idea how it works. I don't have that understanding in the Pacific, so that's really my goal. Even though I have read the Guadalcanal book, which is excellent, the Richard Frank book, but it's been years since I've read that. I still have it. And it's like in unread condition, because that's how I take care of things. But that's a good book, because I got it actually for the naval stuff. And, I would do Guadalcanal, except the Marines didn't have Garans, which means I'm going to have a hard time sourcing the figures. Ultimately, you can't tell, but I know. So I've just started on my journey, but I'm enjoying it so far. And I can't wait to do, coconut trees, etc. Lots of good info online for how to make those. Of course, I won't be ordering any from Wish or AliExpress or what's the other one? Temu or Temu or however you say it. I don't care. I'm not going to order from them. That's a recipe for disaster. Hey, we get a Chinese company. My personal information. Okay, so we've got So on this side, we've got 59, 58, 57, 56, and 55. Even though they're all the same. We'll cut out the ones that they say. 55, where are you? 55, this one, okay? We have 55, 56, 57, 58, and 59. So these right here, these 5, we're going to cut those out. Those are the outer road wheels. Let's make sure, yep, it is, okay. All the way through 59, got it. You don't realize how good these Tamiya cutters are until you use something else. And then you're like, oh, those are worth every penny. That's okay, they're expensive, but buy them, make sure you only buy them once, man. Take care of them. Okay, these are the outer road wheels. So we're going to go ahead and trim these up. This is the tedious part, and the part that you really hated. This is the equivalent of if you're doing a plane, to do the, now the ship equivalent would be do the hull you don't see under the water. But the plane equivalent is do the cockpit. Paint all the details of the cockpit. You're like a kid, like, screw that. I want to build a plane. I want to see what the damn plane looks like. Ooh, these all steel? I think they are. Don't have to paint the road wheels. Not that that's a huge deal, but King Tigers did not have rubber on the road wheels. There was no rubber left in Germany by then. Loud, noisy ass tank. Did I ask you when you went to Japan what was the thing you liked the least? I think I probably did. Land of extremes. Wish Tamiya made stuff in 1/72 scale. Tanks, trucks, not aircraft. So make a few of those. No, let's not do that. Got a little snag that's bothering. Only thing I don't like about Tamiya is their paint. And man, when it came out, I really like Tamiya paint. Oh man, the whole bottle cap is the right color. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Their packaging was pretty cool at the time, but it behaves really weird when you paint it. It gets dry way too quick and gets tacky. Had good smell though. I mean, it smells a lot better than enamel paints. But we're gonna stick to acrylic, because acrylic is just, you know, that's where it's at for me. It's a shame I got to do this, but I got to do this. Only paid $5 for this thing, so, you know, I'm sure I'll get $5 worth of entertainment. The thing I liked the least was the smell of a lot of their food had. It really made me nauseous. It wasn't bad, but for some odd reason it was unbearable to me. When I go to another country, the first thing I miss is our food here. I really do. And I'm not saying I'm only a steak and potatoes stuff, you know, but, you know, I want to eat Mexican food in the United States. You know, it can have all the Mexican flavors, but just the cleanliness level, I'm used to it. When I came back from Mexico, man, I couldn't wait to eat freaking Texas barbecue. It was like, oh my God, you know. Yeah, I'm not used to those markets and shit like that. Did you get stuffed into a Subway? I wouldn't like bowing to people. I just got a problem with that. I don't need to be worshipped or venerated, or I don't need to bow to anybody either. Okay? So that's one side. These will go on the outside ones, and we're going to make sure we don't pull a panther and put them on the wrong ones. Because I've done shit like that before, unfortunately. You refuse to do that, that's right. No, you didn't get stuffed into a Subway. It's degrading, yeah? Yep. Yeah, I don't do things that are self-degrading. Doesn't mean you have to be rude to people, but... And you don't have to break the rules either, but... Mother-in-law was taking a trip to... over the... 47 through 50, over the Eastern Mediterranean. And one of the places that we're going to go was Istanbul. And to see the Hagia Sophia, she had to wear a face covering. I'm like, I'd be like, my girls ain't fucking going. You know? Nope. I don't need to see it that bad. I'll watch it on the Google Mobile or something. It's degrading. That's their culture. Okay, well then you need to accept mine that means not having that. Oh, you can't do that. Well, I can't go. Sorry. There's 4 on this side. These are the inner ones. For a giant city, Tokyo can feel really empty or ghost-like at times. Is it really clean? And don't use New York as New York's a shithole. You know? This is a dirty shithole. And the thing about America is, there's places where they need to have a cleaner environment, okay? Where I live isn't one of them. Like, you could breathe the air, there's not really any issues. As a matter of fact, if you have any breathing issues, it's because of the freaking pollen. So nature's actually what's killing you. There's no smog. Now, you know, if you go to LA or something like that, and there's a shitload of smog, I mean, yeah, you gotta do something about it, man. You guys are overcrowded and stuff like that, but... You don't need to put environmental restrictions on people that don't need them right now. You know, I don't want you putting a freaking coal plant next to me, you know, but use common sense. But yeah, New York is freaking dirty. I'm sure it's cleaner than New York. I just have a problem using a subway in a place that has earthquakes. That's a bad combination. That's a bad combination in my book. There's just some things I'm terrified of, whether it's, you know, reasonable or not. Can't be a badass about everything. There's a video that somebody sent me. There's one guy that I know is from New York originally. We're trying to get the New York out of him, but man, it's difficult. He's all right. He just grew up in New York. And he sent me this thing that was like this viral video about how all the poisonous and venomous stuff that we have in Florida. I'm like, you know, if Florida sucks that bad, don't come here. We got enough people. The state has doubled in population since the time I've lived here. Just like they probably say horrible things about Texas. I don't know. Well, you might not think like, you know, Texas. I tell you what. When I went to Houston, for a trip for work. I don't travel much for work, thankfully, but I did go to Houston. And Houston is like the opposite of the city I grew up in. The city I grew up in, it's like, well, we can't build anything over 2 stories tall because, you know, it'll be skyscrapers. And Houston's like, oh, fuck it, you put a big old crane in the air, I'll put a bigger one. You know, they're trying to outdo each other. So it's like an industrial wasteland in places. Yeah, Japan is pretty clean. Still came across trash, but people are clean and polite and things don't get stolen. You left your book backpack at the subway one day and just went back and picked it up. I'm sure there's some people that would probably be up there. They know better, huh? The place you probably don't get anything stolen is Singapore. Those motherfuckers will beat you to death. Of course, I don't really want to go to Singapore. There's nothing really there that's, you know, there's no attraction there. It's not like, oh man, can't wait to go to Singapore. It's probably a cool city, but, you know, like Japan, there's like some cool history stuff in Japan, right? But in Singapore, it's like, what do you go there for? I want to see the public lashings. No, they don't show those. Oh man, what am I going there for? I want to see somebody getting caned. I want to see somebody beat up, capital punishment because they didn't flush the toilet. That is one of the things that they would, you know, you'd get reported if you didn't flush the toilets. What's the deal with those Japanese toilets? Are they all that in a bag of chips? Again, land of extremes. They probably have these toilets that, they can wash your car and do all these settings, and at the same time, you go a block over, there's people that just poop and pee in a hole in the floor. You got to squat to poop. So land of extremes. There's a lot of Japanese stuff that I like, though. I can't imagine driving a non-Japanese vehicle. Of course, I like them on the, civilized side. I don't like them on the right-hand side. I don't know right-hand drive nonsense. Right-hand drive nonsense. Not going to sell me on that. Okay, this is the back. We have the idler wheel all the way back there. They don't overlap, so I think I should be okay being able to plug all these. So these short ones are the inside ones. The inside ones are these. And there should be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? So we're going to test fit looks okay. All right, so, geez. Almost don't even need to glue them. If you ever have an extra 2 to 4K, invest in a Japanese toilet. They're really something. I just used my last 2. I used it on my bed. We spent all our extra money on a bed. We got one of those beds that you better not buy another one because you can't afford it. Bed you got a mortgage on. Japanese toilet. Well, if you live long enough, you could save the money on toilet paper, right? Okay, that's the inside and the outside of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got to make sure the idler wheel doesn't interact with the other one, and it does. Okay, so we got to be careful. It shouldn't be an issue back here, but it is on the front. And the only reason I know that is I've encountered that type of an issue before. So we're going to drop this. $2,000 for a toilet. Well, I don't know how much a regular toilet is, so I'd probably be surprised how much they go for, but certainly not $1,000. By the time you add labor in it, probably. Yep, I thought that they overlapped. Now, which side goes towards the inside? Hoffman-san. Scheisse. Even being careful, you still get bent. All right, let's take this off before we have a problem. We got to use epoxy. All right, which one of these? Okay, this is the one that has most of the stuff. Okay, so that goes towards the outside. Fair enough. Okay. So this goes to the inside. Got it. All right, now, see if we can wiggle this little guy in there. That's what we do. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And then this little plug goes here. I don't need to rotate that at all. We're fine the way it is. You're getting distracted. Uh-oh. Oh, hold on a second. You won't understand a Japanese toilet until you use one. Their public toilets have little speakers for music so you can blast away. Blast the music or blast something else. You're getting distracted. Probably do one more building before you're done. You're just doing like dockyards and stuff? Godzilla rapes the docks. I take it you didn't watch the Godzilla Kong thing. What a shit show. Big monkey or Godzilla? No. Well, one looks like a dinosaur, so it's cool. The other one's a fucking monkey. No. Screw you and your monkey, pal. Okay, C65 and 67. 65 and 67. 65 and 67. And 65 is the same as 66. Another trick you don't know with these tracks, if it doesn't fit, you just cut the teeth off of it, and then you got an extra little bit of slack. I'm not worried about not showing the slack on the tracks, because these tracks have shields on the top of them. You wouldn't be able to see it. Yeah, doc stuff. Haven't been seen the new American Godzilla movies. Not a big fan of them. Don't go to see them. I'm not a big fan of movies. I saw something recently. It was actually pretty decent. Oh, Sicario. Sicario was actually pretty decent. You know, for a movie. Although I'm pretty convinced that Benicio del Toro actually doesn't speak Spanish. He just mumbles things and they put subtitles on it. Not exactly an enunciator. Okay, so this one goes inside of the other one. How so? Okay, like that. All right. That's a pretty tight fit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drop the glue on it now. It can percolate its way where it needs to go. Okay? That side's done. A lot easier when you're not 13 years old. You know, a lot of the things is you look at it and like, okay, well, I'm not going to be done with this in 15 minutes. It's just expectations. You're like, this ought to take no time at all. That's a big mistake. You might be sorely disappointed. Okay, other side. Should be the rest of the pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outside. 1, 2, 4 inside. Yep. Wish I didn't have to scrape the little lines off them, and I don't have to, but just be a man and do it. There's this one little Japanese restaurant. I'm gonna say Japanese. It might actually be Pan-Asian. Would probably be more accurate example of it. That's just around the corner from where our convention is in Orlando. Twice a year. They just opened it. The last convention was the first one that I saw this place open at. It's a little strip mall. I don't know what the hell it's called. But what's cool about it is you actually order off of an iPad. So they have this computer up on the wall in this place that has this a revolving menu, and you literally can order everything, and there's pictures of every single thing you order there. And I thought it was pretty amazing. So you can get all kinds of different stuff there, but like, okay, I eat with my eyes, so I'm like, I want some yummy looking ramen, and they got all the Japanese beers there, so I'm a big fan of Japanese beers. Still, my favorite beer of all time, one of my favorite ones, is Greek. Is that one they have at the freaking Greek restaurants. Freaking awesome. Okay. Did we already do that? Yep, we already did that one. Okay, cool. We take these little static little pieces. Microplastics or whatever the hell they're called. You know, Japanese beers taste way better in Asia. They do here. Of course they do. And anything draft tastes better. But American beers don't taste any better in Asia. You got to go all the way to Asia for that. Is there a lot of interest in like candies and stuff like that in Japan? Like, that's just something I just don't even think exists in my world. There's no candy. Like, I'm gonna go get such and such candy. Although there are some. The closest I've been to Japan is a freaking Japan Pavilion in Epcot, which isn't anything, but I know somebody who actually went to Japan and said, "Oh, you gotta try these things," and it were these I think they're called lemon sours, like sour but with a Z. Yeah, those will wake you the hell up. Hard candy. That's just something I never have. Lemon sours. I have Japanese whiskey. A couple bottles of Japanese whiskey. I like that stuff. It's actually blended and it's actually okay. I'm not a big fan of blended things. But Hibiki, I think is what it is. I got lots of liquor. I just never drink. There is a bunch of candy in Japan, just like we have here. Less international food, though. I know. That's where I'm pretty sure this country is unsurpassed. We have access to stuff that other places don't. As Americans, and by Americans I mean, like typical run-of-the-mill Americans, Anglos, are very accepting of foods from other places. And I don't mean that it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. And not everybody, but I mean, as a general rule, Americans are welcoming of flavors from other places. And spicy stuff, and this kind, Hence, they bring it here. All that stuff that we have, that chili crunch stuff, the momofuku, that shit's great. We got like this, it almost looks like red pepper flakes, but it's like in this gel. And it's freaking amazing. You just have to put a little bit of it. It's super concentrated. It's great on like ramen and things like that. I don't know how we picked it up at the store, but that shit's great. It's called momofuku. One word. I'm definitely a fan of spicy food. As long as I like the flavor. There's nothing worse than bland, well, other than food that just flat out tastes bad. Bland food is the second thing. No point in eating something that doesn't have any flavor. Momofuku, Florida thing? Let me go grab it. No. Nah, there's not a... You probably have it out there. Momofuku Chili Crunch. It is made in the USA. Hallelujah. Stir it up and use on eggs, noodles, and all your favorite dishes. Produced for Momo Orchard Holdings, New York City. Yeah, no, this stuff is great. Contains sesame and coconut. Ooh. Scan for the backstory. Whoa! Ingredients: grapeseed oil, puya chili, coconut sugar, sesame seeds, onions, garlic, mushrooms, chili del árbol. That's not Japanese. Japonés chili. Salt, red pepper, shallots, yeast extract, seaweed. Fuck it, let me scan for the backstory. I'm the world's worst scanner, though. This stuff is great. It's really, really good. And it's really powerful in that you only need to use a tiny little bit. Alright, how do you scan? You gotta use a phone? Okay. You gotta use a camera. And this is where I show how fucking ignorant I am. Hey, I can't be... I'm just a stupid fucking painter. There we go. Got it to work. When I have those menus, you want an electronic menu or paper? Give me a paper menu. I'll check and see if it's available in Texas. Visit website. Select. I don't want you to tell me what my birthday month is. No, I don't want a deal. Yeah, here we go. It's good stuff, man. It's really, really good stuff. The spicy, crunchy chili oil is our go-to way of adding a flash of heat and texture to our favorite dishes. wash that down with some Kieran. Refrigerate after opening. I gotta put that thing down. I get freaking hungry all of a sudden. Damn it. Good stuff, man. And they have other products. They have like these noodles that are really, really good. I like that kind of food, you know, when the wife makes it. I go out somewhere and I'm like, I gotta see what kind of a place this is before I want to eat that kind of food there. Damn. Now I want some of that stuff. It probably is good on eggs. Yeah, it's good. And it's got crunchy bits of like the, oh, it's excellent. And you got it at a regular, you know, Anglo grocery store. Didn't have to go to, I mean, shit's made in freaking New York or whatever. Like, good stuff. You know, there's some things that go well on a lot of things. It'd probably be good on fries. Oh. Yeah, I'm tired of this sound too. Almost done. I'll have a few more. What comes after that? We got to do the exhaust. Okay, then what? Then hatches. Well, I actually have a vehicle that has hatches that are driver hatches that can be opened. Wow. That's unusual. This vehicle just calls for some uptight supremacist leader to be in the hurt turret. Some Nazi stooge. Worst thing about working on soft plastic figures is you can't do this. You can't take the seam lines off them this way. They get all fuzzy. They're a pain in the ass to deal with. A lot of them paint up okay. You just can't clean up the flash, and they all have it. You have to like slice it off. You planning on completing the whole model tonight? Not possible. I'd be up until midnight 30, and I'm just not going to do that. No. I'm probably going to, let's see, how much is left on the other side. This just takes for freaking ever. No, we're not going to be done tonight. We can make it. I don't know how far we'll make it, but make it till you fake it. But I did have some coffee when I went on, so I've got some of that energy. You know, Trumpeter probably makes one of these, and the Trumpeter, you know, I've built 2 Trumpeter kits, and they're really, really nice, but they don't give you hatches to be open. It's like, why would you have a vehicle this prominent and not have the option to open hatches? Like that, the Jagdtiger is a beautiful model, Can't make any of the hatches open. Like, really? It's just asking for some uppity dickhead to be in there, you know? Nope, don't have that option. Okay, so these are the interior ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They go on the inside. One, 2, 3, 4. All right, the other ones go on the other side. Beside them. 1, 2, 3. These are 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we got to do the front situation there. I'm going to go ahead and put that one in. Let's drop this one in first, so it fits inside the other one. Okay. And now I'm just going to glue that in place. And then last, put this thing in the back. Okay. This godforsaken thing's done now. Okay. That's the least pleasant thing about the whole thing. All right. We've got some exhausts that need to go in the back. Okay. And they're here. They're actually already drilled. Perfect. Where is the Tamiya? Clippers. The figures actually look pretty good. They have good faces, except for the freaking tie. Let me go into battle wearing a freaking tie. Like, that's impractical. Is a black tie event? Okay, let's make sure these fit in these holes. I don't have to expand any of them. That's good. Ha 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 ha! Cat-like reflexes. Meow. is here and here. Wait, who goes into battle wearing a tie? These tankers, like the official uniforms, like has them wearing a freaking tie, like all the way up. Like, don't you have some books to burn or something? Go away, you know? All right, now we got the whole, the business end. All right. I want to see how this thing sizes up compared to the other ones. I suspect they're pretty close. Chop there and there. And then there and there. Okay. Oh, let's not fuck this up. There we go. Let's just get close. We'll sand the rest of the way. Why are there bits of plastic all over your room? Oh, if you only knew. All right, where is our sandpaper? I don't feel like cutting this into a smaller piece. Fuck it. It's just too hard to handle. Well, that was easy. Still, nothing's easier than Plastic Soldier Company plastic. It like melts in your hand. All right. This has the ball mount MG. I'm just going to set this on here and see how it sizes up to the other ones. Of course, it doesn't have the little side plates on it yet. That makes it a little bit wider. But we have a... Let's grab this Nazi fucker right here. It's pretty freaking close. I mean, actually, it looks pretty good after it's painted. I'm happy with it. I don't think they look that much different from each other, other than it's got real tracks on the side of the turret here instead of whatever these are. And I bet I don't have to make little loops. I bet it'll come with the loops. We'll see. I'm going to get a lot of JS2s, man. I'm not going to use all three King Tigers at the same time. Of course, King Tiger may be all like badass and everything, but man, a Panzer... You get a captured Panzerfaust, that'll end its day, man. Panzerfaust don't care. Panzerfaust don't care. We are done with this completely. All right, we got a machine gun that's going to go in here, and is it on this piece? It is not. It's on the other one. Okay, that's 43. 43 is... Well, it says 43, but it ain't no 43. It says 42. Ah, misprint. So you look here, the machine gun says 43. Look up here, it's 43 on the crank thing. You silly Italians. It's 42, because that's what the piece looks like. Ooh, and it's broken. It came snapped. Or it came to me snapped. All right, well, we can fix that. See if we can salvage this. Let's take the end here. Okay, there's half of it. And then this one, here's the two halves of that. Okay, and we also need piece 25. Supposedly it's 25. It is, in this case. All right. So those all go together, and it gets mounted from underneath into there. So here's the ball mount. And this actually fits in the ball mount and supposedly moves. It just holds in here. And then this is the tip. Now, if I mount this inside, can I attach this from the outside? Because I'd be more comfortable doing that. So if we have this in like this, it's too hidden. I still think I'm probably going to attach it that way. I don't have to feed it through that hole then. Let's do that. Where's my tweezers? Surprised I haven't grabbed them yet. Where's the good tweezers? The thin ones. There they are. So that goes in like that. I'm going to go ahead and glue that ball mount in place. But I'm going to twist it so it's like so. And then we're going to put a tiny little drop of glue . Well, I'll use a piece of sprue. I'm not worried about it. No, we'll get it later. Don't vacuum. Well, that's got to be in its place anyway, so. It's awfully sunken in there to begin with. I don't know that it would have turned out that well. We'll grab it from the floor. It's a tiny little piece. Happens all the time. Happens every time. Okay, I don't know that I'm going to put figures in the drive compartment. I don't think we're going to do that. This is tools, but is there marks for where they go? Kind of. Probably not going to attach the top of the bottom just yet. Let's get this in place where it needs to be. Let's see what we're dealing with as far as like to do is I just like to staple these things together. Although these seem to fit pretty good, but I prefer to staple them. Then you hide that somewhere. You don't have to worry about it coming off, and it ends up being epoxied on a stand anyway, so it doesn't come. I don't think the stapler's here. It's somewhere else in the house, so I'm actually pretty certain it's not here. So I'd flip this upside down, put them together, put a stapler, really carefully come in here, staple it together, then smush the two ends, then mushroom them in, and do it that way. I'm almost certain the stapler's not here. Before I go, what's the name of the tank again? This one's King Tiger. Oh, King Tiger I got for $5. Yeah, this actually looks good other than the fact that it doesn't have any tools or anything on the side of it. Yeah, it's pretty much barren. And the glue didn't work on it. I just super glued the whole damn thing together. But it actually looks okay. What are you going to use 13 tires in a battle? What makes you think I'm using all three of them? You know? These decals, unfortunately, are probably going to explode. They're old as dirt. That's fine. Hell, I hand paint my own decals. I don't give a shit. All right, I'm going to cut off as well. It's 10:30, and I don't know where the stapler is. That'd be the next thing I put on there. Make sure that this fits on here correctly. Because we actually, on these side skirts, depending on how this track lays, I might actually remove some of them. I might remove like these little spaces on a couple of them and give it an extra panache. Yeah. Okay, folks.